Today, every iPhone in your pocket, every electric vehicle on the road, every AI server powering our digital world, and every missile and fighter jet all rely on one thing: rare earth metals. They rarely make headlines. They don't spark oil-style price wars. And they don't create gas-style seasonal crises. But their influence is far deeper and far more dangerous. Because in this overlooked yet irreplaceable domain, China holds a level of dominance no country can match. A dominance strong enough to reshape global supply chains, redirect the tech industry, and shift the trajectory of geopolitics itself. To avoid having its technological future held by the throat, the United States has launched an unusual initiative. A rare earth and AI supply chain alliance spanning 9 countries. But here's the real question. Can this coalition truly challenge China's position? Or, was rare earths never the real objective? Let's start from the beginning. Rare earths may sound exotic, but the truth is they're found all over the world. The real challenge isn't digging them out. It's turning them into usable material. Refining rare earths is incredibly complex, chemically intensive, highly polluting, and dependent on expertise that only a few countries have mastered. That's why the valuable part of the supply chain is not the mining. It's the processing. And today, only a handful of nations can do it at scale. This is also why the United States, despite having its own deposits, still depends heavily on China. Rare earths are already embedded in nearly everything around you. The screen and camera in your iPhone, the magnets in electric vehicle motors, the rotors of wind turbines, the chips and power modules inside AI servers, and the guidance, radar, and stealth systems of modern weapons. People often say oil powered the last century. But the foundation of this century is rare earths. Without them, the modern world stops instantly. To understand why America rushed to form a 9-country coalition, we need to face a simple reality. When it comes to rare earths, China isn't just ahead. China dominates. China accounts for about 60 to 70% of global mining. But mining isn't the key. The real power lies in processing and refining. And China controls roughly 85 to 90% of that. Go one level deeper. To the most strategic material of all. Neodymium iron boron permanent magnets. They're inside EV motors, wind turbines, AI servers, and nearly every major defense system. China's share of that market? Over 90%. Which means even if other countries discover new rare earth deposits, they still lack the ability to turn raw ore into usable materials and end up sending it back to China for processing. That's the heart of America's problem. America doesn't lack resources. It lacks the capability to convert those resources into the materials modern technology requires. And this dominance didn't happen overnight. It's the result of a fully integrated supply chain China has built over the past 3 decades. A system no other country has been able to replicate. A warning sign appeared in 2010. After a flare-up with Japan, China briefly tightened rare earth exports. It wasn't even a full cutoff, just a small adjustment. But Japan's high-tech industries were rattled instantly. That moment revealed something crucial. Rare earths aren't just materials. They are leverage. And they can become strategic leverage during any geopolitical crisis. Unlike oil, rare earths cannot be replaced by another energy source. They are the foundation of modern technology. EV motors, AI compute, radar, guidance systems, stealth capabilities, and renewable energy. Without rare earths, there is no advanced industry and no AI era. That's why China's dominance makes America, Europe, and Japan uneasy. And it's why America decided to play a much bigger card. The 9-country alliance. America's anxiety about rare earths didn't appear overnight. It has been building for more than 2 decades. And the core issue is simple. America doesn't lack resources. It lacks capability. More than 70% of the rare earth compounds and metals America imports come from China, which means the heart of America's military and tech power. From F-35 stealth systems and Patriot missiles to NVIDIA GPUs and data centers, depends on a strategic competitor. China has never fully cut exports. But the fact that it could is enough to unsettle Washington. What makes this more ironic is that America once led the rare earth industry. Back in the 1980s and 1990s, the Mountain Pass mine in California was the world's most important supply. So what happened? Three things converged around the early 2000s. 1. China subsidized production and drove prices down. 2. U.S. environmental regulations increased refining costs. 3. Tech companies chased the cheapest suppliers, naturally shifting to China. America didn't lose the industry. It gave it away. And now, just as global demand is exploding, driven by electric vehicles, renewable energy, and massive AI infrastructure, America finds itself critically exposed. EV motors need permanent magnets. Wind turbines need permanent magnets. AI data centers need high-performance magnetic materials. Defense systems rely on rare earths at every level. More demand, deeper dependence, higher risk. In this new era, rare earths aren't just an industry. They are a strategic foundation. Whoever controls them controls the hardware base of the next technological age. And right now, that foundation is in China's hands. That is the true source of America's urgency, and the reason it launched the 9-country alliance. Now the real question is, how does this alliance work? And what is the United States actually trying to build? Let's break it down. Once Washington realized how deeply it depended on China, it also understood something else. You can't fix this with subsidies. You can't fix it by reopening a mine. You have to rebuild an entire ecosystem. So America unveiled something much bigger. A rare earth and AI supply chain alliance. Spanning 9 countries. Many people think this is a trade partnership or a technology exchange. It isn't. It's a geopolitical engineering project. A blueprint that ties resources, technology, standards, and political alignment into one single system. To understand it, you can't just look at the list of countries. You have to look at the roles they were chosen to play. Australia, the raw materials. One of the world's most stable and diversified rare earth sources. America doesn't need a new friend. It needs a reliable mine. Japan, the technical core. The only country outside China with world-class refining and magnet expertise. Without Japan, you can mine all you want. You still can't produce usable materials. The United Kingdom, the political anchor. London is Washington's closest policy partner. It validates the alliance, helps shape regulations, and brings the political glue needed for sensitive cooperation. And the rest are not random additions. The Netherlands, advanced equipment and chip-related capabilities. South Korea, materials science and EV supply chains. Israel, AI architecture and algorithm innovation. Singapore, finance, logistics, and data infrastructure. UAE, capital and Middle East strategic reach. And above all, the United States. The coordinator, the rule-maker, and ultimately the beneficiary. Why combine rare earths with AI under one alliance? Because every major technology in the AI era needs rare earths at its core. EVs, servers, data centers, radar systems, satellites. They all depend on these materials. If you lose the rare earth battle, you lose the hardware foundation of the next technological age. That's why America isn't picking friendly nations. It's picking useful nations. Countries that fill critical gaps in mining, refining, funding, logistics, or political legitimacy. This alliance isn't designed for equality. It's designed to create a supply chain America can guide, influence, and ultimately control. If you think of it as an AI version of the Belt and Road, just with Washington in the driver's seat, you wouldn't be far off. But this raises a harder question. Can this alliance truly stand up to China? Or are there deeper, structural weaknesses that could hold it back? Let's take a closer look. The 9-country alliance looks powerful on the surface. The United States brought together countries with mines, technology, funding, and political influence. On paper, it feels like a serious counterweight to China. But supply chains don't succeed just because you gathered the right nations. They succeed only when every part of the system works. And that's where the alliance faces its biggest challenges. The first challenge is refining. People often underestimate how difficult rare earth processing is. You can buy machines, you can buy chemicals, and you can hire experts. But you cannot buy 30 years of accumulated know-how. You cannot buy the coordination among companies. Or the tacit knowledge built through decades of experience. Rare earth refining isn't just a factory. It's an ecosystem of chemistry, engineering, and industrial culture. This is why China still handles more than 85% of global refining. It's not because other countries don't want to do it. It's because they can't scale it to the same level. The second challenge is cost. Even if America rebuilds a full supply chain, China's production costs are lower and its scale is larger. If China decides to push prices down, Australian miners will struggle. Japanese refiners will lose margins. And European manufacturers will start questioning whether switching suppliers is worth it. China doesn't need sanctions or blockades. Price competition alone can prevent the alliance from ever reaching maturity. In supply chains, the biggest danger is not failure. It's never reaching scale. China doesn't have to defeat the alliance. It only needs to make sure it never grows big enough. The third challenge is conflicting interests among the member countries. Each nation joined the alliance for different reasons. And their incentives don't fully align. Europe wants rare earth access, but refuses to host polluting refineries. Japan wants security, but doesn't want to become strategically dependent on the United States. Australia wants America partnership, but still relies heavily on China as a buyer. Singapore and the UAE are pragmatic. They cooperate when it's profitable, not because of political commitments. These differences slow the entire project down. And there is one more weakness. A uniquely American one. Governments can set strategic goals, but companies decide what to buy. If Chinese rare earths remain cheaper, more reliable, and easier to obtain, the market will choose China. Not out of politics, but simple economics. Unless American companies are willing to pay higher prices. For the sake of strategic independence, the alliance remains a policy document, not a functioning supply chain. These are the structural obstacles the alliance must overcome. Technical difficulty, cost pressure, misaligned interests, and market realities that speeches alone cannot change. And this leads to a bigger question. If Washington knows how hard this is? At this point, you might be wondering, if the alliance faces so many structural obstacles, why does the United States still push forward so aggressively? My view is that Washington's real objective goes far beyond rare earth metals themselves. America is using this supply chain reorganization to advance a much deeper strategic project. And there are three possible futures that help explain what might actually be happening. The first possibility is this. The alliance is not a partnership. It's a controlled technological ecosystem centered around the United States. Many people see this as multilateral cooperation. But if you compare it with America's policy playbook over the past 20 years, a pattern becomes clear. The real goal is to build a America-led technological empire. A system where other nations contribute resources and capacity, while the United States sets the standards and controls the key technologies. Think about how the roles are arranged. Australia provides the raw materials, but relies on American markets. Japan provides the critical refining expertise, but in a system tied to American patents and standards. The UK gives political legitimacy, helping align regulations and strategic coordination. Countries like Singapore and the UAE bring logistics and capital, but never receive the core technologies in return. What's left are the high-value portions of the chain. The intellectual property, the standards, and the strategic control. And those stay in American hands. This is a form of technological dependency. Not through force, but through design. If you want an example, look at how America restructured the global semiconductor supply chain. The logic is almost identical. The second possibility is this. China won't respond with military pressure or diplomatic confrontation. It doesn't need to. China's strongest weapon in this battle is the market itself. If Beijing wants to challenge the alliance, it can simply lower prices. Imagine this scenario. Australia spends billions building new mining operations, only to watch global prices fall 20%. Japan expands refining capacity, but suddenly faces cheaper Chinese material. that no one can economically compete with. And American companies? They'll compare two suppliers. One that is cheap and reliable, and another that is expensive and still developing. It's obvious which one the market will choose. This strategy slowly dries up the competitor's operating space, until the alliance struggles to survive. Once the opposition weakens, China can readjust prices and maintain its dominance. This kind of strategic pricing has happened in many global industries. This time, the battlefield is rare earths, and the stakes are far higher. The third possibility is the boldest. The true battleground isn't minerals at all. It's who controls the rules of the AI world. Rare earths are the entry point. But the deeper contest is over. Algorithms, data standards, hardware architecture, and the future operating system of global technology. The next world order may not be defined by territory or by oil, but by AI standards. Who sets them? Who enforces them? And whose infrastructure other nations must plug into. The United States wants to build an AI-centered strategic bloc, a kind of AI NATO, where member countries follow American norms in data, security, hardware requirements, and cloud connectivity. A system where once you join, your entire technology ecosystem naturally aligns with America's standards. If that vision materializes, the world won't just split into two supply chains. It will split into two technological civilizations. A America-led AI ecosystem and a China-led AI ecosystem. Rare earths are simply the first domino in a much larger shift. In the short term, 3 to 5 years, China's position in rare earths will remain solid. The United States won't be able to dislodge it. In the medium term, 5 to 10 years, the alliance will take shape. But its true nature won't be equal cooperation. It will be a controlled system built around America's strategic needs. In the long term, the real competition will be over AI standards, not minerals or factories. That is what will ultimately shape the next global order. So here's the question I want to leave you with. Where do you think this is all heading? Will the United States regain supply chain leadership? Will China maintain its dominance? Or will the balance be decided by the countries caught between these two giants? When you step back and look at this entire story from start to finish, you start to see something much larger taking shape. The world is being rewritten, quietly. Not on battlefields or in grand diplomatic speeches, but inside supply chains, technology standards, and the invisible systems that power modern life. Rare earths, AI, the 9-country alliance. These may sound distant, but they're already shaping the technology you can use, the partnerships your country can make, and the industries your economy can compete in. They're shaping the rules of the world you live in, often without anyone announcing the change out loud. And the real question isn't just who controls the minerals, or who builds the factories, or who signs the alliances. The real question is this. As AI, supply chains, and geopolitical rivalry collide, will the next decade lead us toward integration or fragmentation? Will the world settle into a shared technological future? Or will it split into two competing systems that define not only how we work and communicate, but how nations align and how power is exercised? So I want to hear your view. Who do you think will shape the next global order? Will the United States rebuild a supply chain strong enough to lead? Will China hold its position and extend its influence? Or will emerging nations reshape the balance in ways no one expects? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want a clearer window into how global forces shape the world behind the headlines, consider subscribing. We'll keep digging deeper and making sense of the shifts that truly matter.